Welcome back to another podcast. I'm here with Isaac. We've been meaning to do this for a long time. I've had a couple ones that I wanted him on, but he's had some stuff. He's been a little busy, but I'm glad that he finally got on. What's up, Isaac?
How's it going? Nice. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be here.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. Starting off with the recent news, and then we'll go over the week one predictions because football is finally back for NFL. Starting off, Brandon Ayuk, 4 years, 120 million, overpay or underpay?
I think it's a little bit of an overplay. I don't think he's the best even receiver on his team. I still think Debo has him right there. I think he's a great receiver. I think he's maybe even like top 10, top 15 in the league, but I don't think he is worth 100 million plus for his contract.
Yeah, I can agree. I think it's a little bit of an overpay because that's top five wide receiver money for, again, like you said, being like a top 10 wide receiver. Then you also have to worry about the other contracts that are coming up, and one actually coming up right now. The Niners also decided to pay Trent Williams 3 years, $82.7 million, overpay or underpay.
I think that's an underpay. I think he should, as an O lineman, I think all O line need to be paid a lot more. He's very possibly the best O lineman of all time, and just he should be way above Ayuk. That's part of why I think that he should be paid a little less, maybe, um, because of the 49ers. They have these great players that could be paid a lot more. I think Trent Williams, one of them. I think he should be the highest paid lineman in the league, and maybe even one of the highest paid on his team. So I think he is underpaid.
Yeah, Trent Williams, I think properly paid, kind of. Like how? I mean, it's either underpay or properly paid. This dude's the best lineman right now, and he's like in his 30s. Like he's like 34, 35. He's the best lineman of our generation, and it's not really close either. I mean, you could maybe consider Zach Martin, but I agree. I think you nailed it. Like I think he's underpaid maybe a little bit, but I think it's a good contract by the Niners. But now I'm kind of worried about how they're going to deal with Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I think that just with the amount of players that they have, it's hard to decide underpay or overpay for those players just because they have Nick Bosa, Brock Purdy, Debo Samuel, and then Williams and Ayuk. They could be paying all of them, but just to be able to pay all of them is just crazy as on its own.
Yeah, I don't know where the Niners are pulling this. Next up, Cameron Hayward for the Steelers, 3 years, 45 million.
Yeah, I think that's pretty properly paid right there. I mean, he's a great player. He's pretty old, one of the oldest players in the league, which shows Trent Williams. But like we were saying, Trent Williams still has some of the best years of his career so far. Cameron Hayward with the Steelers, I think that's a pretty properly paid, just because he's still a top defensive player for that team, which they have a great defense on its own. So I think that he definitely adds to that defense, and he's a big part of that defense. And so he should be getting paid a lot, um, and but just not over like Ayuk and Trent Williams are. So I think that he's properly paid right there.
I think he's underpaid, Cameron Hayward, because you look at like when you game plan against the Steelers, obviously you're worried about TJ Watt. But if you concentrate too much on TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward is right there ready for like any sack. So you gotta like game plan on both of them. That's kind of also why TJ Watt gets a lot of sacks, because you can't really because like on other teams like the Browns, you can only focus on Myles Garrett because there's no one else who's able to wreak havoc. With TJ Watt, he kind of has like a Robin and like Cameron Hayward, despite Cameron Hayward being way older than him. But yeah, Cameron Hayward, he's going to help get a lot of those sacks generate for TJ Watt and the rest of the Steelers defense. And I think it's frankly an underpay. At 15 million is kind of a steal. Next up, Michael Carter for the Jets, 3 years, 33 million.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of an overpay. I think he's a decent maybe backup running back. I was looking at his stats, and he's been in the league for 3 years now. He's had 7 touchdowns in those 3 years, which I don't think is a great number for the amount that he's getting paid. I think in a few years he could be worth that amount of money, but I think right now he's not there yet.
I think you're looking at the running back. I think this is the corner who got paid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking.
Um,
Yeah, that's on me.
he's a
Yeah,
quarterback from Duke. He's played from 2021 to 2023. He's
yeah.
been on the Jets his entire career.
Okay,
He's only
because you
played.
said
No, never
Jets.
mind. Yeah,
Yeah, because you
he's
said Jets, and I was like, I thought he was gonna run or the Cardinals. Yeah, so yeah, I think he's maybe a little underpaid. I think he's one of the most underrated corners in the league right now, with him and Sauce there. So he's a little bit underlooked just because they have Sauce Gardner on that defense as the corner. But I think that he's still a great corner. Um, and like I said, when they have Sauce, you can't pay him too much just because of some of the players with him, Rogers, uh, Garrett Wilson at receiver. So I
Quinn
think that
Williams.
he's Quinn Williams, yes. So I think that's hard, kind of like the Niners. It's hard to pay all those players their fair amount, but I think that he's still underpaid.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Similarly to the Cameron Hayward and TJ Watt thing, sure, like you can't pass on Sauce Gardner, but Michael Carter's only allowed 2 touchdowns in the last 2 years. Like it's still really hard to pass on that secondary as a whole, and it can't just be Sauce. Like it's also Michael Carter and the other like they have a couple underrated safeties too in Marcus May, so it's that entire secondary that makes it whole. So I think you nailed it. It's underpay. Last but not least, Patrick Surtain getting a record-breaking deal, 4 years, $96 million. He is officially the highest-paid cornerback in NFL history. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, as soon as I saw it with the highest paid DB, I think that's just right there. That's overpay. I don't even think he's the best DB in the league right now. I think Sauce Gardner's probably about the same as him. I think Jay Alexander's probably above him. L'Jarius Sneed, who's really underrated, I think he's above him. Um, so I think that in those terms, he was way overpaid. Playing for the Broncos, he is definitely their best player um, on that on the defense, probably even the whole team. So I think that yes, they're going to pay him a lot because he's one of those players that they really want to keep. Kind of been going through rebuild, and he's one of those that they want to stay, not leave in the rebuild. So I think paying him a lot is important for that team. I just don't know about highest paid in league history.
I think this is properly paid because like Patrick Surtain, I think he's still like a top 5, top 3 corner. And I think that like if you're top 5 or top 3, I think that can still qualify for being, having these record breaking deals. Because Sauce Gardner, I don't know if he got paid recently. But like when you're like if you're thinking you're Patrick Surtain, I'm one of the best corners in the league. I want to make the most amount of money I can get. And also he knows how valuable he is to his team. So like who else are the Broncos realistically gonna, pay that much? Like Bo Nix is under a rookie deal. I don't really know if he's gonna be that good like in 4 years from now when they need to pay him. And like realistically, like Justin Simmons left, they don't really have anyone else they need to pay. So like Patrick Surtain's kind of like the only one.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say with how the Broncos, they just don't really have anybody else to pay.
Yeah. Now it's time for the week 1 prediction. Starting off Thursday night football tomorrow night. Ravens, Chiefs. Who you got?
Yeah, back-to-back defending champs. It's hard to beat them. Mahomes coming off of last year was his very first week 1 loss. Um, so we did realize that he is able to lose those games. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think they're barely going to beat the Ravens, the Ravens definitely got better with the additions of Derrick Henry, kept MVP Lamar Jackson, still have a great defense, Zay Flowers at the receiver. But I just think Mahomes and Kelsey and Chris Jones, I think they're just going to shut them down, kind of like the AFC Championship. I think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be as low scoring as the AFC Championship, not 17-10. I think it's going to be like somewhere in 24-20, that range. I think it's going to be a very great game to kick off this 2024 season. But I think the Chiefs end up winning.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are going to win, not necessarily because I think the Ravens are better, but I think the Chiefs this year during the regular season, Travis Kelsey's getting older, Chris Jones ain't getting any younger. They're going to kind of like put it on cruise control throughout the regular season. They're not going to have as many win. Excuse me. They're not going to have as many wins as I think people think, because like they can't really go all out when they know they can save their energy for the playoffs, that they're pretty much a lock to make, unless barring any like crazy injury. So I have the Ravens in this one. Give me the Ravens 27-24. Again, they could not have picked a better game. This is the AFC Conference Championship rematch, and it's gonna live up to the hype. But I have the Ravens on this one. Next up, Friday night in Brazil, Packers, Eagles. They're both not going to wear green. Who you got?
Yeah, these first two matchups I definitely are going to say are the top two matchups to watch for this week one. Both these teams coming off of some decent 2023 campaigns. The Eagles finished just horrible. They were one of the top teams in the NFC, finished one of the worst, losing to the Bucks in the playoffs. Packers, I think, were kind of a surprise team last year, but this year I think they're going to make the playoffs again, probably as the 5 or 6 seed. I do think that they are definitely, from what I've been seeing recently, I think that they're probably the most overrated team, though. They are not a top 5 team. I think they're 9 or 10. So these are two teams who could really be really good, or could be just kind of eh. But I think I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one, just because Jalen Hurts, he can run, he can pass, he can do it all. I know Love can too, but just Hurts can do it better. He's more experienced. He's played in these big games like this, neutral site. So I think the Eagles win in a 31-27 finish.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Eagles, they ended off really badly. They clean house. Their coaching staff got a new OC, and DC kept Nick Sirianni, and they had an amazing offseason. They got Saquon Barkley, and unfortunately, I'm going to have them winning this game and against Green Bay. They're an overall better team, and they can easily outscore anyone they face. So I'm going to have them winning 29-20. It's going to be an interesting game. I think the Packers will put up a fight, but the Eagles are going to run away within like the late third, early fourth quarter. And this is the one time I will be rooting my heart out for the Green Bay Packers. Next up, Panthers versus Saints. This one's fun to start off the noon games.
Yeah, these are two teams that I think these are the only two teams that I don't think have a great chance in the NFC South. Definitely the two worst teams there. Derek Carr, he's hit or miss. One season he'll be great. The next season he'll be a bottom 5 starting quarterback in the league. And I don't think that these are one of those seasons that he's going to do a fantastic job. Panthers, I've heard a lot about Bryce Young maybe just having a down year coming back. I don't think so. I think Bryce Young is maybe going to have another year, maybe even half a year, and he's going to be riding the bench. And so I think the Saints will take this one, mainly because of defense. They got Cameron Jordan, Tyrann Mathieu. They just got Willie Gay from the Chiefs, who's just one of the most underrated defensive players, I think, in the league. Really helped that team win the Super Bowl last year. So I got Saints in this one with a low scoring game. I'm going to go with 13-7.
I agree with you. I got the Saints. It's not going to be an entertaining game at all. You kind of nailed everything I said, but I do think Bryce Young is going to have a bounce back sophomore year. A lot of he's still the number 1 overall pick. We can't really write him off after 1 year. So I think he's going to have a good enough year that they're going to keep him for the third year and not really heavily consider any other options. I have the Saints winning this. Give me the Saints 17-11. Next up, another snooze fest, I'm going to be honest, Vikings Giants.
Yeah, these are two, especially with J.J. McCarthy getting hurt. I already thought the Vikings weren't going to be great. Now with Sam Darnold at quarterback, these are probably the 2 worst starting quarterbacks for the season, week 1. They're just Daniel Jones. I've seen him in training camp missing wide open go routes with nobody within 30 yards of him, overthrowing them, missing little out routes. He had that one throw against the Texans, where he just pump faked and then threw at the last second while the Texans defender was already in front of him. It's just, it's just, it makes me want to throw up just watching him play football. And Sam Darnold is honestly probably worse at some points. So I think that this is just going to be a defensive game, and solely because of the Vikings receiving core, I got the Vikings winning this one in a 17-13 win.
Yeah, I agree. I got the Vikings winning this. You got, honestly, I think QB 31 and QB 32 of the NFL starters, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones. But the thing is, Giants, their number one wide receiver is Malik Neighbors, and like who else? The Vikings, they at least have weapons. They got Aaron Jones, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and I think that's gonna push them above the cliff. And I'm gonna have the Vikings winning this 21-10. Next up, Patriots Bengals.
Yeah, this Patriots team is another team that I think is going to struggle a little bit. They are just full rebuild. That was very apparent whenever they got rid of Matt Judon. He was their best defensive player, and they just sold him for pretty much nothing, a few draft picks. So I think that the Bengals, Joe Burrow's back and healthy. I know that he normally starts off very slow at the beginning of the season. I don't think it's going to be slow enough to lose to the Patriots team. Drake May was not looking too great in the preseason. So I don't think he's going to be much of a threat to the Bengals defense. So I got the Bengals pretty big in this one. I'm going to go 24-3.
24-3. Wow. I got the Patriots, they're starting Jacoby Brissett because I think to test out the O-line before putting their number 3 overall pick in there. Yeah. So Patriots, Bengals, again, Joe Burrow and the Bengals in general, I kind of don't feel like having a really slow start. So I think this game is going to be a lot closer than anticipated. Jamar Chase, I think this is like his first day, or he either yesterday or today was like his first day showing up to practice in a while. So he's not going to necessarily be 100% if he hasn't practiced since up until right now. So I think this game is going to be surprisingly close. I'm going to have the Bengals taking this 31. Give me the Bengals 31-24. It's going to be one of the better games of the year of the week, and it's going to be a surprise or two. Next up, Steelers Falcons.
Yeah, these are two teams that I think have a great chance of making the playoffs. Falcons, I think, are going to be that team to lock up the 4 spot and win the NFC South. They just got better. They upgraded from Desmond Ridder to Kirk Cousins, which Kirk Cousins was one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC a season ago, or 2 seasons ago, I guess. But I think that with the Falcons, they got AJ Terrell, they got Drake London at receiver, who is one of the best young receivers in the league. So I think that with that connection from Cousins to Drake London, I think that they are going to win this one over the Steelers in a very close game. I'm going to go with 28-24.
Yeah, this one's definitely one of the more interesting games of the season, or not the season, the week. Steelers Falcons. Kirk Cousins, his first game after having a season-ending injury. I think they're going to pull it off. They got a really good offense going, especially now with the head coach better than Arthur Smith, which is pretty much everyone. So I got the Falcons winning this. Give me the Falcons 23-20. It's going to be a close game. I don't really know if Mike Tomlin announced the starter yet, but
I think either way, their offense is kind of cooked.
Yeah. Yeah, especially they got Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell, Matt Judon, Justin Simmons. Like that defense is really good now, especially with the recent offseason acquisitions. So I'm going to have the Falcons winning this 23-20. Next up, Texans Colts.
Yeah, these two teams I think are going to be the two teams battling for that top spot in the AFC South. I like the Texans a lot this year. They had CJ Stroud led them to a great season with the receiving core with Nico Collins and Tank Dell, and somehow that core got even better when they got Stephon Diggs from the Bills. They also got Joe Mixon from the Bengals, who I think is a great running back to have, especially behind C.J. Stroud. Laramie Tunsil and that O-line, they're just all around a great team. Dalton Schultz at tight end is a very solid tight end. And then the Colts with it. This is one of those teams with Anthony Richardson, AR3. He's one of those players that looked great last year before he got injured, but he got injured really early, so it's really hard to tell what he's gonna do. He hasn't played since early last year in a meaningful game. So with that, I think the Texans are gonna take this one pretty handily. I'm gonna go 31-20.
Yeah, I'm really high actually on the Colts. I think they're gonna make the wild card. I have making the wild card. And this is gonna be a really good game. It's gonna be a really fun game to watch. I think it's gonna be really high scoring, especially with the Stephon Diggs acquisition. They're both offenses I think are gonna light it up. I'm gonna have the Texans winning this. Give me the Texans 37-30. Next up, Hail Murray rematch, Cardinals Bills.
Yeah, these are another two teams that are high in question. With the Bills, you lost your best receiver. With the Cardinals, you possibly gained your best receiver, which I think could be the best, at least the best non-quarterback coming out of this draft class with Marvin Harrison.
And he is gone. That is okay. He's back.
Yeah, I think Kyler Murray throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be just a great matchup. It's going to be a fun one to watch. I think he could be somebody who, if there is another Hail Murray, he would be the one down there to catch it. And I just think that the Cardinals, with the addition to him and the Bills trying to go without losing Stephon Diggs, I think Josh Allen's going to throw a few too many picks in this one. His only problem, in my opinion. So I'm going to say the Cardinals with an upset here. Give me the Cardinals 27-20, 21.
I got the Cardinals actually upsetting the Bills too. I'm really hot at the Cardinals this year. They're my team of the NFC who I think is going to be a dark horse in making the playoffs. Again, the Bills, you don't really have any of your wide receivers, like Stephon Diggs left, Gabe Davis left. So like Josh Allen's, he hasn't really developed any like game time chemistry. Especially, I don't think he's played in the preseason too much either. So it's going to be really odd for the Bills. I think they're not going to put up too many points, especially Josh Allen in some scenarios. He sometimes just like throws it up and then hopes someone comes down with this. Sometimes that's not going to be the case, especially not with Stephon Diggs. So Josh Allen, he's going to throw, a couple picks, and I think I got the Cardinals winning this. Give me the Cardinals 31-28. Next up, Titans Bears.
Yeah, this is another matchup of two teams who are going to look completely different. The Vikings, the Titans. Their obvious struggle or question is quarterback. Will Levis. He looked good in his first game. Kind of struggled after that. Didn't look his best. But they did just get Calvin Ridley. They did get Tony Pollard. They still have D-Hop out there. So I think their receiving core is great. The only question with them is the guy throwing it to them. The Bears, on the other hand, the question is the same with the quarterback, but I think the quarterback is actually going to do a lot better. I think Caleb Williams, I was really low on him going into the draft just after his senior year. But after watching him in the preseason, I think he's going to be probably rookie of the year, either him or Marvin Harrison Jr. That receiving core, yeah, is Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, and who's the other one? I'm blanking right now.
Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore.
DJ Moore, yes. I was trying to think of a new guy, but I couldn't. Yeah, so DJ Moore, that receiving core is just stacked. And so I think that just with that offense, I think the Bears take this one pretty easily. I think it's going to be a 31-17 win.
I'm actually predicting another upset with the Titans. Rookie quarterbacks in week one, they always struggle. I think there's only been either 0 or 1 quarterback that's won this century with that started week one. And I think the streak's going to continue. I got the Titans winning this. Give me the Titans 20-16. I think it's going to be an upset, but Caleb Williams, he's got the first game jitters, first Obviously, first overall pick, he's going to be pretty nervous, high expectations going out in that game, and I don't think he's going to perform as good. But from here on out, I think he's going to perform really well. But it's just week one quarterbacks, no matter how good they finish the year, they always struggle the first week. Next up, Jaguars, Dolphins.
Yeah, this is another. These are some more two teams that I think are going to be trying to at least make a run for the wild card. I think the Dolphins will get in pretty easily. They could honestly win their division with the Bills losing their receivers. I like the Dolphins this year with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Devon Achane, who was a rookie last year. He was great last year. He's experienced now, so I think that he's going to really shock the league and be one of the best running backs, especially with his speed. So I like the Dolphins a lot this year. And then the Jags, I'm kind of down on. I know that they have a chance at a wild card. I don't think they're going to get there. I think they're going to be a few games behind. Trevor Lawrence, he's just one of the most mid quarterbacks in the league. I think that he could have another great year like he did 2 years ago, but I just don't think he will this year, maybe next year. And they lost Calvin Ridley. They still got Christian Kirk. So I think just with how good the Dolphins offense was last year, I think the Dolphins are going to win this one 38-20.
Yeah, I got the Dolphins taking this again. They got an amazing offense. And Devon Achane, he was injury prone last year, sure, but now he's got a full season to recover. Same with Raheem Mostert from whatever thing he always gets. It seems like every year he's always somehow hurt. Yeah, Dolphins have a full year to recover, and I think they're going to come out and go on all cylinders just as they did last year, week one. I got the Dolphins winning this 38-24. Next up, Broncos, Seahawks.
Yeah, this game seemed a lot bigger a few years ago, but now it's just these two teams. Geno Smith, he could have another year like 2 years ago. Last year he struggled a little bit. You still got Lockett and Metcalf as your receivers, which is a great receiving core. K9 as your running back. I think he's one of the most underrated running backs in the league. I think that running offense isn't going to be a problem for the Seahawks. The Broncos, it's just there's so many questions with Bo Nix as the starter as a rookie. I think he's going to be one of the best rookie quarterbacks out of this class. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, maybe in a couple years. So with that lack of offense, I mean, like we said earlier, the defense for the Broncos is also not great. You got Pat Surtain. Other than that, nobody really else to pay. So with that being said, I think I am going to go with the Seahawks in this one at a low score, 21-13.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to have the Seahawks winning this. Again, going back to what I said about in the Bears game, rookie QBs week one, they don't win. And like I said again with the Bears game, this streak's going to continue. I got the Seahawks taking this. Give me the Seahawks 24-17. I think it's going to be a decent game. Bo Nix, similar to Caleb Williams, he's going to show some flashes, but he's not going to have his best game ever. But he is definitely one of the most experienced of these QBs, these rookie QBs, especially given his age. But I have the Seahawks taking this 24-17. This also starts our 3:00 games. Next up, Raiders, Chargers.
Yeah, I am very low on the Raiders this year. I think they got even worse than they were last year. I think that this is just the Chargers, with especially just a few minutes ago, about an hour ago. I mean, Justin Herbert come out and saying that he's ready to go. He's his injury is 100% healed. So I think that, especially with the gain to him, you could say all that you want about Quentin Johnston. I think that was his rookie year. Everybody struggles the rookie year. Everybody drops balls. I think this is the year that he is going to solidify himself as that wide receiver one. And then you got Darius Davis, as he showed in the preseason, his speed, that return man, and if they run jet sweeps with him, that could be deadly for defenses. So just with how bad the Raiders are looking and the Chargers looking like they're going to come back a little bit after a down year, I think the Chargers are going to win this one pretty easily, 27-13.
I think this one's going to be a really low scoring game, similar to the two snooze fest we had to start off the noon games. The Chargers, they got the receiving core, no one's proven on that team. I'm being honest, no one's really proven. Raiders, they did get worse, like you said. Devontae Adams, he's going to light up. I think it's going to be Jim Harbaugh's coaching in the end that's going to prevail them. I am going to have the Chargers winning this 17-7. Next up, Cowboys, Browns. Who you got?
Yeah, these two teams, I think, are also two teams that have a great chance at the playoffs. Cowboys, they just got CeeDee Lamb back. That was a huge pickup. They got Micah Parsons, arguably the best defensive player in the league. Trevon Diggs, one of the best corners. And then you got regular season Dak, who's probably a top 10 quarterback, maybe top 5 in some people's opinion. They did downgrade a little bit at the running back position, even though they did get Cook and Zeke. I don't think they're going to be as good, even with that O-line who was always dominant. The Browns, they're one of those teams that will either have a good season, make the wild card, or they're just going to struggle for all season. And I think that's going to be one of those seasons where they're going to kind of be in between that. But I think they're going to be more on the struggle side, have a lot of problems. Sean Watson is definitely not as good as he was back in his glory days with Houston. So I think I am going to go with the Cowboys here. I'm not going to say a beat down, but pretty easily. I'm going to go with a 37-20 win.
The Cowboys, again, like you said, regular season Dak, top 5 when it's not the playoffs. They got a good team going on. I mean, despite really not doing anything this offseason, they still kept most of pretty much all their pieces, kept CeeDee, got Micah. They still have, the great O-line. I'm sure they lost Tyron Smith, but they got Tyler Guine, who I think is going to be really good for a rookie. I'm going to have the Cowboys win this, but I think it's going to be really close. It's going to be really defensive. Give me the Cowboys 24-16. Next up, Commanders, Buccaneers.
Yeah, this Commanders team, I was really low on at first, but now that I'm watching them, they could be, I'm not going to say a playoff team, but a sneaky team to make it look like they have a chance at the playoffs. Jayden Daniels, he's just, again, rookie quarterback. It's really hard to say that they're going to be great or they're going to be terrible. But with his arm, I think that he can be one of the better ones. You got Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler at the running back room, so I think the running back room is going to be really good. You still got Scary Terry at the receivers, even though they did lose Jahan Dotson. So I think that their offense is going to be good. Buccaneers, I think that they're going to have another good year, maybe even playoffs. Baker Mayfield at quarterback, I think he's one of those quarterbacks that people will always be down on until he shows them. Like, he's great whenever he's hearing stuff in the media about he's fallen off since the Browns or anything like that. They still got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, great line, great defense. So I think I'm going to go with the Buccaneers here in a very close game. I'm going to go with a 24-21 victory.
Yeah, I agree. I got the Buccaneers again. Like I've said, the last two rookie QB games. I'm not trying to sound like a broken record, but like rookie quarterbacks week 1, they don't really win, and oftentimes they struggle. Jayden Daniels, he's going to show a lot. I think probably the most amount of. I think he's probably going to have the best rookie performance by a quarterback of the 3 main ones. Baker Mayfield, the thing is with him, he's not afraid to throw it out there no matter what. And when you have Mike Evans who can go out there and just jump up and get it, as well as Chris Godwin, who is a good route runner and is still, I think he's one of the more underrated receivers in the league, frankly. Baker Mayfield, he does really good. Now, with the Commanders, they got a really underrated offense other than Jayden Daniels. They got Terry McLaurin, Austin Eckler. He's honestly a big question mark, but granted, he still has that potential from 2 years ago because he was still that injury that he had early on that might have lingered on the rest of the year, and he might light up kind of like Dak Prescott, how one could argue in 2022 his thumb injury kind of lingered throughout the year. I mean, he led the league in interceptions, but this year he had an MVP like regular season. And I have the Buccaneers winning this. Give me the Bucks 27-24. I think it'll be off a game-winning field goal to win the game. Next up, Sunday Night Football, Rams-Lions in a rematch.
Yeah, I'm very high on the Lions this year. I think that they have a very good chance at even beating the Niners in the NFC Championship to go to the Super Bowl. I think that the Rams are also a really good team. This is another battle between that trade that happened a few years ago between Goff and Stafford. The Rams, after winning the Super Bowl, they definitely had a real down year, 2022, but then they really did bounce back up. Like you said, it's a rematch. They made it to the playoffs last year. And I think even when like they lost Aaron Donald, so I'm probably gonna say that they got worse. Lions, they have Amon St. Brown, one of the best receivers in the league, definitely top 10. Jared Goff, who looked really good last year. And when he's good, he looks really good. 2018 Jared Goff, last year's Jared Goff. And then their defense is also great, led by Aiden Hutchinson. So with that being said, I think I'm gonna go with the Lions here in a really close one. I'm gonna go 27-24.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Lions, again, they look tremendous. Again, rematch of the trade that happened a while back. As of right now, the Rams won it because, I mean, Stafford took them to the Super Bowl. Goff has yet to take the Lions to win a Super Bowl. But I think the Lions are going to get their revenge. And honestly, frankly, a lot wider of a margin than people are going to think. I think the Lions are going to kind of have a little bit of a beatdown. No Aaron Donald. That definitely hurts the defense. And I'm going to have the Lions winning this. Give me the Lions 34-20. Next up, and this will be the final bit of the podcast, Niners Jets Monday Night Football.
Yeah, we've been talking about the Niners this whole time. They're just an outstanding team. They have by far the best running back in the league right now. Christian McCaffrey, he can run, he can catch, he can do it all. Brock Purdy, I think, has been a little underrated. People are calling him a system quarterback who's just there with the Niners and how good they are. I think he's a top 10 quarterback. I think he's really good. I think he's actually one of the big reasons for the Niners' success. And you could say all you want about, oh, Jimmy G did the same thing. But, I mean, Brock Purdy, he never put up the numbers like Brock Purdy has. Just the fact that he came in, took him to the NFC Championship in like 7 games as a starter. Then you, like we were talking about earlier, Trent Williams, probably the best, or definitely the best lineman in the league right now, one of the best ever. And that defense is just so good with Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Travarius Ward. I think that they're going to have another outstanding year. So I'm going to, even with the Jets having Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, 2 young guys, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, coming off the injury, even though his Achilles, let's hope he lasts more than 3 or 4 plays this time. Actually makes it back into the locker room before he just gets injured again. So, but with that being said, I am going to go with the Niners here pretty big. I'm going to go with a 31-17 win.
Yeah, these teams really match up well. I mean, when we were talking about the Michael Carter contract, I was talking a lot about the Jets secondary, and frankly, that kind of matches up against everything the Niners are, and that's like the air raid offense. But you focus too much on the air raid, you forget about CMC, who is the best running back in the league. And I think, again, Aaron Rodgers, last time he was hurt this badly, he really struggled to I think he threw like 3 or 4 picks, which is like unheard of for like Aaron Rodgers standards. And I think, honestly, it might be a similar, especially with a lot better defense. And Aaron Rodgers is also a lot older compared to a few years ago. So I'm going to have the Niners winning this. Give me the Niners 24-9. And that's going to do it. I'm going to probably have more shorter podcasts from now on and make them like more weekly. Isaac, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It was fun. Maybe we should do this again.
Yeah, and that'll be it. Like, subscribe. See you.
Yeah.